Braavos is one of the most powerful free cities, with it being located towards the northern part of Essos, hidden among hundreds of small islands. The way in which it was founded is unique compared to a lot of the other free cities, as it was never established by Valyria. Instead, Braavos was founded by escaped slaves who fled their Valyrian masters around 500 years before Aegon's conquest. To avoid pursuit, they hid the location of their city for over a century, thus earning Braavos the name of the secret city. Initially, Braavos was ruled collectively by the heads of prominent families and organizations, and unlike other cities that feature noble dynasties, Braavos has a meritocratic government. The most powerful figure is the Sea Lord, an elected leader chosen by the city's ruling council, and the Sea Lord acts as both a political and military leader, embodying Braavos' independence. Beneath the Sea Lord, Braavos is governed by a network of guilds, from merchants to the mysterious faceless men. Its history is highlighted more by cunning diplomacy rather than large-scale warfare, although their naval power is very strong. The Iron Bank of Braavos is one of the most powerful financial institutions in the known world, lending money to kings and kingdoms, and using its influence to direct political events when necessary. The Braavosi fleet is one of the strongest in Essos, and they have used it in the past to protect their trading interests. Though Braavos has avoided large-scale conflict on its own territory, it has intervened in conflicts beyond its borders. Notably, Braavos played a significant role in the liberation of the city of Pentos from the control of the Valyrian freehold. Braavos' navy has also faced off against pirates in the Stepstones and slavers from other free cities, enforcing the city's strong anti-slavery stance. The Braavosi are also known for their cultural contributions, such as their famed water dancers, who are experts in a graceful and deadly fighting style. Braavos is also the home to the vast Titan of Braavos, which is a ginormous statue that guards the entrance to the city, symbolizing its power and independence. Braavos remains a city where wealth, stealth, and secrecy remain strong, thriving on its commerce and the important decisions that its rulers make. Lorath is one of the lesser-known free cities, located on the northern coast of Essos, and it is situated on a group of islands in the Shivering Sea, at the mouth of a river called the Lorath Bay. Compared to the more prominent free cities like Braavos or Volantis, Lorath remains somewhat mysterious, known for its isolation and ancient history. The early history of Lorath is tied to the long-extinct race known as the Maze Makers, who once inhabited the region. This pre-human civilization is famous for constructing massive labyrinth structures on the islands around Lorath, made from great blocks of stone. Little is known about the Maze Makers, but their vast mazes have become a symbol of Lorath's ancient past. Its history as a city began when it was settled by Valyrian adventurers. However, unlike many of the other free cities that emerged from the Valyrian freehold, Lorath did not become a hub of commerce or power. It remained isolated, with its culture and people highlighted by their introspection rather than ambition. After the fall of Valyria, Lorath gained full independence and became a part of the free cities. One of the most notable events in Lorath's history was its domination by a religious order known as the Followers of Bosch. Bosch was a prophet who preached a life of simplicity and celibacy, and the Boshi dominated Lorath for a time, rejecting materialism and indulgence. However, their rule eventually dwindled, resulting in the city-state to revert to a more conventional form of governance, controlled by merchant factions. Lorath has had little involvement in the later wars that have occurred in Essos, as its remote location and relatively small size have kept it free from many of the conflicts that shaped the histories of other free cities. Nevertheless, its fleets have occasionally participated in naval battles, and Lorath has been involved in trade rivalries with other free cities, especially Braavos and Norvos. Culturally, Lorath is known for its reclusive, scholarly pursuits, and the people of Lorath have a reputation for valuing knowledge and reflection. This city has been home to various philosophers throughout its history, and its labyrinths have become both a literal and symbolic feature of Lorath, reflecting the city's mysterious background. Today, it remains one of the quieter free cities, ruled by merchant oligarchs, and its economy relies heavily on fishing, whaling, and some trade, though it is not as wealthy or powerful as other free cities. Its isolation, however, allows it to remain largely independent and undisturbed by the greater power struggles that are in Essos. Lys is located on multiple islands scattered around the southern part of the narrow sea. Known for its beauty, Lys is a city famous for luxury, pleasure, and indulgence, and the Lysani people are renowned for their exotic looks, including pale skin, blonde hair, and violet eyes, a reflection of the Valyrian nobility who once ruled their city. Founded by Valyrian settlers, Lys was established as a colony during the height of the Valyrian freehold. The Valyrians, known for their dragon lords and vast empire, built Lys as a trading outpost and a center for pleasure. The city's warm climate, combined with its attractive population, led to its reputation as a place of leisure, where the wealthy from around the world would come to enjoy lavish pleasures. After the doom of Valyria, Lys, like other Valyrian colonies, gained its independence. Without the direct control of the Valyrian dragon lords, the city became a free city and was ruled by merchant princes and noble families, many of whom trace their lineage back to the Valyrian aristocracy. Lys's economy has been built on trade, luxury goods, and the sale of slaves, particularly ones who are beautiful or skillful in some way. Throughout its history, Lys has often been involved in conflicts with its neighboring free cities, especially Mir and Tyrosh. These cities, along with Lys, have fought numerous wars over control of the Stepstones, the islands that serve as a strategic point for trade and naval dominance in the Narrow Sea. These conflicts, known as the Lysini Wars, or the War of the Stepstones, have seen the power of Lys rise and fall multiple times. One of the most significant periods of war occurred when the three cities, Lys, Mir, and Tyrosh, formed the Triarchy, also known as the Kingdom of the Three Daughters. Together, they conquered the Stepstones and ruled them for a time. However, their rule was eventually challenged and broken by the forces of Westeros, led by Corlys Velaryon and Daemon Targaryen. The Triarchy's defeat led to the end of their dominance in the region. Anyways, the Lysini take pride in their Valyrian ancestry, and the city is home to renowned pleasure houses, many of which offer women who are trained from a young age in the arts of love and entertainment. Today, Lys remains one of the wealthiest free cities, ruled by its noble families and merchant oligarchs. Mir is located on the southern coast of Essos, and it is renowned for its master craftsmen, particularly in the creation of fine textiles, glasswork, and lenses. The city's skilled artisans produce some of the most exquisite goods in the world, making Mir a center of trade and artistry. Mir's early history is tied to the Valyrian freehold, and like many of the other free cities, it was originally a Valyrian colony, but after the Doom of Valyria, Mir gained its independence. The city came to be ruled by merchant princes and wealthy families, forming an oligarchic government similar to many of the other free cities. Mir has long been a city of wealth and intrigue, though its power has often been checked by its larger and more aggressive neighbors. One of the most significant periods of war involving Mir came during the formation of the Triarchy and them attempting to take control of the Stepstones. After the defeat of the Triarchy, Mir's power was diminished, and the alliance between the cities dissolved, leaving Mir to rely once more on its trade and artisan economy rather than military conquest. Mir has also been involved in other conflicts with Lys and Tyrosh, with these wars often being driven by trade disputes and territorial ambitions, as Mir competes with these cities for control over trade routes and resources. One of the most notable rivalries in Essos is between Mir and Tyrosh, leading to a series of small wars over the centuries. The artisans of Mir also pursue scientific discoveries, especially in regards to alchemy and engineering. Despite its history of warfare, Mir is primarily associated with the creation of luxury goods and its ability to maintain influence through trade rather than through their military. Today, Mir remains a wealthy and influential free city, governed by an oligarchy of merchant princes, and its power is rooted in its artistic and intellectual contributions, with this city highlighting how turbulent politics in Esso can be, especially showcasing how alliances and conflicts can shift at any given moment. Norvos stands out for its strict religious culture and hierarchical social structure. Located inland, north of the Roine River, Norvos is divided into two sections: the city, which is built on top of a plateau, and the lower city on the riverbank. Norvos is known for its religious order that worships the bearded priest, a mysterious cult that holds significant power over the city's governance and way of life. Norvos' history began as a Valyrian outpost. However, once the Doom of Valyria occurred, Norvos became independent, now being ruled through a theocracy. The bearded priest, who serve as the religious and political leaders of the city, rule Norvos with an iron grip. They choose the city's rulers, the High Magisters, and enforce strict religious laws upon the civilians. Norvoshi society is highly conservative, with much of the city's daily life dictated by religious doctrine. The priests wield long axes, a symbol of their authority, and those who defy the laws they set in place often face harsh punishments. Though Norvos is not known for its wealth or military power, it has still been involved in conflicts over the centuries, particularly with its neighboring free cities. Norvos has occasionally clashed with Qohor to the southeast, and disputes over trade routes and resources have led to smaller wars with cities like Mir and Volantis. Norvos has also had to fend off raiders from the Dothraki and other nomadic tribes from the east. This city is also known for its smiths, particularly those skilled in forging long axes and weapons of high quality. It is also famous for training elite warriors known as Norvoshi axemen, who serve as the city's main military force and sometimes work as mercenaries for other nations. Culturally, their education is primarily religious, and the arts and sciences are less emphasized compared to in other free cities like Braavos or Lys. Norvos' architecture is filled with stone buildings and fortified temples that reach far into the sky. Currently, Norvos is still ruled by its bearded priest, and its magisters govern according to the laws of the faith. Though not a major player on the geopolitical stage, Norvos remains a steadfast, isolated city that adheres to its ancient beliefs and customs with complete devotion. Pentos is situated on the western coast of Essos, overlooking the Narrow Sea. Its location has made Pentos a key trading port, especially in grain, wines, spices, and slaves, though its history and politics are filled with challenges from both external and internal forces. Pentos was originally a colony of the Valyrian freehold, and after the Doom, they gained independence, but unlike cities like Braavos or Lys, Pentos is not governed by merchant princes or religious figures. Instead, it is ruled by a prince, an individual individual who is selected by the wealthiest and most powerful of the city's oligarchs. However, this prince doesn't actually have much control, as the elite magisters of the city hold a lot more power instead. Should the prince ever displease the magisters or fail to bring prosperity, he is often sacrificed in a public ritual, a practice that highlights the dangerous nature that comes with this position. Pentos has often struggled with external threats, as it has been sacked multiple times by the Dothraki, and the city has also been involved in wars with other free cities, particularly Braavos, and at times, Pentos has had to pay tributes to avoid destruction by its more powerful neighbors. For a time, Pentos was subjugated by the Braavosi, who imposed their will on the city and enforced their laws, including slavery being abolished. The culture of Pentos reflects its position as a major port city and also trading hub. It is cosmopolitan, with influences from Westeros, the free cities, and beyond. In Pentos, wealth and power are only in the hands of a few, with the magisters controlling most of the city's commerce and politics. Slavery, though technically abolished during Braavosi rule, still persists in various forms under the guise of servants agreeing to it. Pentos also maintains close ties with Westeros, particularly House Targaryen, which often sought refuge there during their exile. Pentos' military is weak compared to the other free cities, and its strength largely depends on mercenaries and naval power rather than a standing army. Their reliance on hired swords has made the city vulnerable to more powerful entities like Volantis, Braavos, and the Dothraki, and the city's defensive strategy is largely one of diplomacy and tribute paying rather than open warfare. Today, Pentos remains an influential but also not very secure free city, and it continues to thrive on trade, though its internal politics are often dangerous and treacherous. The city's wealth, along with its strategic location, comes with its blessings, but also makes it a target in the complex world of SOC politics. Qohor is one of the most mysterious and culturally distinct free cities in Essos, located deep in the forested lands east of the Roine River. Known as the City of Sorcerers, Qohor has a reputation for its dark practices, its skilled metalworks, and its unique religious devotion to the Black Goat, a bloodthirsty god who demands daily sacrifices. Qohor was originally founded by Valyrian settlers, and after the Doom, it gained its independence. The city's rulers, known as the Council of Magisters, are composed of wealthy oligarchs who oversee the city's affairs, though much of its culture is influenced by the priesthood of the Black Goat. One of the most significant aspects of Qohor's history is its reliance on magic and blood rituals. The Black Goat's priests conduct regular sacrifices, with animals being sacrificed by day and criminals or slaves by night to appease their god and maintain the city's protection. This focus on sorcery has made Qohor a city feared by its occult practices, and magic is an important part of its identity. Despite its remote location, Qohor has been involved in various conflicts, especially with nomadic invaders from the east. One of the most famous battles in Qohor's history was the Battle of the Field of Fire, where the Unsullied, the legendary slave soldiers of Essos, saved the city from destruction by the Dothraki. In this battle, the disciplined Unsullied stood against a massive Dothraki horde and did not break formation, even when facing overwhelming odds. The Dothraki, impressed by their discipline and fearlessness, spared Qohor, and this event was a defining moment in the city's history. Qohor is also known for its superior smiths and metalworkers, particularly in the art of reforging Valyrian steel. Though the secret of creating new Valyrian steel has been lost since the Doom of Valyria, Qohor's blacksmiths are renowned for their ability to reforge existing Valyrian blades, making the city a valuable destination for warriors and also nobles to restore their ancient weapons. Culturally, the citizens of Qohor live in the shadow of its temples, where human sacrifices and dark rituals are a regular part of their life. Though the city is wealthy, much of its prosperity is linked to its crafts and trade rather than political or military expansion. Today, Qohor is still under the rule of the Council of Magisters and the priests of the Black Goat, and although they do not have a large standing army, they rely on mercenary forces like the Unsullied to defend its interests. Its wealth, dark reputation, and strange practices make it one of the most unique and mysterious of the free cities, largely untouched by the broader conflicts that occur in Essos. Tyrosh is located on an island at the southern end of the Narrow Sea, near the disputed Stepstones. It is known for its colorful culture, with Tyrosh being famous for its vibrant and exotic dyeworks, as well as its mercenary companies that often fight in the wars of both Essos and Westeros. Tyrosh began as a colony of the Valyrian Freehold, established to serve as an outpost and trade hub. After the Doom, Tyrosh declared independence, and the city is now ruled by an oligarchy of wealthy merchant princes who compete for power and influence. These merchant princes control the economy and politics, governing the city through a council that often changes as fortunes rise and fall. The political atmosphere in Tyrosh is known for being volatile, with frequent backstabbing, betrayals, and shifts in power among the elite. The history of Tyrosh has been through much conflict, especially with neighboring free cities like Mies and Myr. After the formation of the Triarchy and their failed attempt to keep control over the Stepstones, Tyrosh was weakened. Since then, they have clashed with Lys and Myr often, which showcases how allies can easily become enemies if their interests simply don't align. Culturally, Tyrosh is known for for its extravagance, and the citizens often dye their hair in bright and unusual colors. Tyrosh is also home to numerous pleasure houses, and its culture is marked by indulgence and luxury. The city's mercenaries are also well known across Essos and Westeros, with many famous sellsword companies originating from Tyrosh, including the notorious Golden Company. Currently, Tyrosh remains under the control of its oligarchic council of merchant princes, and the city continues to thrive on trade, particularly in textiles, dyes, and mercenary contracts, though it is often involved in conflicts with its rivals. Tyrosh's position as a naval power and its control of trade routes make it a significant player in the political and economic landscape of Essos, though its alliances are driven by self-interest, making them overall very weak and unstable. Volantis is the oldest and proudest of the 9 free cities in Essos, founded as a colony of the Valyrian freehold. Situated at the mouth of the Rhoyne River, where it flows into the Summer Sea, Volantis is a city of impressive architecture, ancient traditions, and political ambition. It is sometimes referred to as the first daughter of Valyria, and it holds a deep connection to its Valyrian heritage, which heavily influences its culture and governance. Volantis was established during the height of Valyria's power and served as a key outpost for Valyrian expansion into Essos. After the Doom, Volantis declared itself a free city. However, unlike other free cities that embraced independence and new political structures, Volantis maintained a strong adherence to Valyrian customs, particularly slavery and the belief in Valyrian racial superiority. Its society remains deeply divided between the upper class of Old Blood, who are descendants of the original Valyrian settlers, and the lower class, which is composed of slaves and freed men. Volantis is ruled by a triarchal system, with 3 triarchs elected to govern the city. One triarch is always chosen from the Old Blood, while the other 2 are elected by the general population, though in practice, the city's elections are often corrupt and manipulated by the wealthy. Volantis is divided by the Rhoyne into 2 parts, the wealthy Old Volantis on the eastern bank, where the Old Blood are located, and the poorer district on the western bank, which is home to the common folk and slaves. Throughout its history, Volantis has been an ambitious power, seeking to revive the Valyrian Empire under its rule. After Valyria's fall, Volantis attempted to conquer the other free cities in what was known as the War of the 5 Forts. This war saw Volantis attempting to seize control over much of Essos, using its fleet and armies to subdue its neighbors. However, Volantis was ultimately defeated by a coalition of free cities, including Braavos and Pentos, with aid from Westerosi forces. This defeat ended Volantis' ambitions, though it overall remains a powerful city. Culturally, slavery is deeply ingrained in the city's economy, with slaves making up a significant portion of the population. The Tiger and the Elephant factions divide Volantine politics, with the Tigers representing the Old Blood and military elite, and the Elephants representing the merchant and trade classes. Volantis is also the home to the fiery priest of the Lord of Light, who hold great influence over the city's religious life. The Red Temple in Volantis is the largest in the world and serves as a center of power for their faith. Currently, Volantis remains a wealthy and influential family, though it faces internal conflict between the Tiger and Elephant factions, as well as external threats from neighboring powers. Its influence stretches across Essos, especially through its network of trade, slave markets, and its naval fleet, which dominates the Summer Sea. Despite its diminished ambitions of building an empire, Volantis remains a formidable force in the political and economic landscape of Essos, clinging to its proud Valyrian heritage. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below which of the free cities that I discussed are your favorites, and subscribe if you want to see me discuss other locations in the Game of Thrones universe. Thank you again, and goodbye.